Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Pass is intercepted in the goal line. Up for the layup! Oh, blocked by James! Curry, way downtown.
Welcome back to the 2020 podcast, where hindsight is 2020, but the takes are always 10 out of 10. We have mock draft 3.0. 1.0 was I had the evens, you had the odds. 2.0, Drew solo mock. Go check that one out. And then 3.0 here today, where I'm going to go ahead and have the odd numbers, and Drew's going to go ahead and have the evens. For future reference, we'll have a 4.0 where I'll be all solo by myself, 5.0 with trades, and we'll probably have a 6.0 as well with a final mock draft. We'll at least have a 2-round mock draft as well coming up right before the draft, while positional rankings coming up the Sunday before. So we've got a lot of draft stuff that we're trying to churn out at least 2 to 3 times this week and next week before it all gets kicked off. It's the best time of the year. So, but before we get into any of that, Drew, how we doing?
You know what, bro? I'm just so happy to see you back. Talking for 45 minutes on camera with no pauses or no second to catch your breath or collect your thoughts on something, especially when you're video recording. So it's not like you could just pause it. It's harder than people think. Matter of fact, I recommend it to everybody. Download a free podcast hosting app and try to talk for 40 minutes about a subject you're passionate about. And it is not as easy as you think it is. So shout out to you. I'm glad to see your beautiful face back on screen there. Help me out a little bit. And here we go. Hopefully we get closer to nailing this thing. The rumors, the smoke is out there. The rumors are out there. And we're getting close to the draft. And boy, am I excited.
Yep. I got my board further away from personal opinion, closer to rumor mill. And we'll see how differently this draft goes, because I feel like with how we're going to draft with, again, the rumor mill churns out more and more as time goes on closer to the draft. So it may be a little different from our last couple of drafts to this one. So I'm excited to see how it kind of plays out.
You know what? Every year we have this discussion and we have to ask each other, are we doing this based off of where we think these players are rated, or are we doing this off of where we think they are going to be going? I remember, a couple years ago, Sean McVay on a live stream with the Patriots took Cole Strange at like 28 or 27, and he started laughing with the GM. They're like, holy shit. Oops. I don't know if I can cuss on this. Holy crap. We had that dude in the 3rd or 4th round, and he's no longer on the Patriots. But so I think we've tried to bring this back in a little bit more on what we expect to see. That way we can pat ourselves on the back for a job good done, a job well done. Holy smokes. And we'll see how close we get.
Absolutely. So just to reiterate, I'm going to go ahead and have the odd picks. Drew's going to go ahead and have the even picks. We have it up on the board right now. And PFF, we have the new mock draft simulator multiplayer, which is a pretty cool feature. You guys should check it out if you can with your friends. Non-sponsored, unless PFF, just saying, you use your stuff kind of all the time. So, all right, let's go ahead and get it kicked off. Go ahead and readying up. And I forget how loud that ding is in our headset. I'm not sure if the audience will actually even hear it, but go ahead and get kicked off. Obviously, we don't need to spend much time here outside of Fernando Mendoza is going to be the pick. Having the playbook, just had a fantastic meeting with the Raiders recently as well. So it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point that the kid's going to be the pick. So not much that needs to be said there. There's a need. He's there. You pick him.
At number 2 here, the Jets. If you watched mock draft 1.0, we took Arvell Reese. If you watched mock draft 2.0, we slotted in Ruben Bain Jr. here. It is definitely an interesting, I feel like, opportunity for the Jets here to make a decision just based off of everything I'm seeing, everything I'm hearing. A lot of smoke about the Dallas Cowboys wanting to trade up for Ruben Bain here. Not here at 2, but just in general. And I'm just going to go ahead and end that speculation here by saying the Jets are going to take him number 2. There will be no trade up for the boys in blue.
I am hearing the exact same things. Drew and I had a little bit of pre-draft meeting and talking about the same exact stuff where it looks like the Cowboys are going to be very interested in trading up. It's probably going to be here at this 3 spot, if not at potentially that 6 spot. It is also a good possibility. But with no trades in this mock, we're going to go ahead and pick for the Arizona Cardinals, where looks like the pick is going to be Bailey or Reese. Is kind of the whispers is what I'm kind of hearing more and more. If they trade down, I'm hearing a lot of Spencer Fano conversations being popped up, especially with the flexibility, him being able to play tackle or guard. But for this exercise, I am going to just go ahead and pick Reese. I'm going to stay away from the tackle, which we've gone with every single time. We're going to shake it up and we're going to go ahead and go with Reese.
Yeah, you know what? Just casually browsing through some YouTube mock drafts this morning, Yahoo, PFF, my guy Daniel Jeremiah, Matt Miller, obviously, and there's a ton of Cowboys to 3 for Jeremiah. Love smoke out there. I think it's kind of crazy, but
agreed, very crazy.
I think number 3 is just going to be as exciting as possible to see what happens there. I feel like the draft really opens up there. Now, the Titans. A lot of people think they could go running back here, but do they have a new head coach this year, Jacob? Did they sign a new head coach? What's the guy's name?
Yeah, Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh, my guy. My guy. You know what? You just are not going to be able to talk my guy, Robert Saleh, into a running back at 4 here. We're going to go against conventional wisdom. And, Saleh, he's just going to have to get a guy that's going to anchor his defense for the next 4 to 5 years. God willing, he's still their head coach. Sonny Styles at number 4 here gives Saleh the playmaker he needs, the defense the playmaker it needs, and Saleh gets his guy.
Because that's one that we haven't made. So Zeke, man, I was just saying how I was excited to see how it's going to fall, and we still have Jeremiah Love on the board, still have David Bailey on the board, Mountain Noah on the board. I mean, there's a lot.
Did I just mess you up there?
No, that's fine. What we hear for the Giants, they're very high on Jeremiah Love, which is funny because they have a decent running back committee with Tyrone Tracy and obviously Scam Kenbo. And we have Caleb Downs that they're in love with, Arvell Reese that they're in love with, but obviously Reese is gone. But they wouldn't shy away also from picking Sonny Styles, which is a pick that we slotted in there multiple times. But I am going to draft Caleb Downs here. I do think that this is a player that when we talk about anchors of a defense, I think Downs is of the same type of quality as a linebacker anchoring down your defense. He drafted Kyle Hamilton to his defense at 14 a couple of years ago, and we're going to go ahead and slot him in with another potential generational safety that is going to help out that back secondary, help out the second level of the linebackers, and can also step up even further on the edge, which if you go watch the snap count, he has played as well a couple of times in the last season. So Caleb Downs is going to go and anchor down the New York Giants defense as well.
Wow. The Giants are in a weird position where when you have a top 10 pick, normally there's a couple places you want to address. Wide receiver, they have Malik Neighbors. Edge rusher, they're set. Offensive tackle, they're pretty good. And when you're picking at these premium positions and you have talent at those levels and you're just waiting for your team to put it together, being able to take a player like Caleb Downs, the highest we've had him, although we don't deny his talent, is an awesome idea. Holy smokes. We got the number 1 running back on the board. We got the number 1 corner on the board, the number 1 tackle on the board. Lots of options here for the Browns. But as we've discussed multiple times, is it Deshaun Watson? Is it Shedeur Sanders? Regardless of who it's going to be, I think they're going to want to slot a big-time wide receiver in for them to have someone to throw the ball to. Carnell Tate from the Ohio State. Come on down. You are a Cleveland Brown. Hopefully it doesn't ruin your career being drafted to Cleveland.
3 in a row. 3 Ohio State players in a row. 4 in a row. Reese, Styles, Downs, Tate. That would have to be a record, right? From the same school? It'd have to
I imagine so.
That's honestly kind of awesome. And with Washington on the board right now, I'm not going to hesitate too much. I'm just going to tell you what the pick is going to be. It's going to be Jeremiah Love. We're going to stop the, slide a little bit. Who knows where Love is really going to go? Conversation starts at 3 with a trade up. It really, really starts to get going at 4 with the Tennessee Titans. I think if he's still there at 7 with Washington, I think they're in love with it. They have no reason to hesitate. Now, I will say that if Tate isn't gone here, then they can have a genuine discussion on what they want to do, because I think they also really like Carmel Tate. But I am going to go ahead and go with Jeremiah Love, hopefully get some help to their injury-riddled season quarterback, because we can't have that again. Get some load off of him, man. He's a talented player. Let's make sure that he's not putting it all on his legs.
Wow, Jeremiah Love falling to 7. I don't think if we had talked about this, we talked about a lot before we went live, but I don't see how we would have found a way for Jeremiah Love to fall to 7 when we were just talking about the Cowboys trading up to 3 to get him.
Exactly.
Pretty crazy, but here we are. Lots of opportunity here for the Saints. But as we know, every year in the draft, it just feels like these skill position players get drafted higher and higher and higher. And a hell of a wide receiver out of USC, Mekhi Lemon, right here to the Saints. I just have a feeling that wide receivers are going to go hot and heavy in this draft. And, I don't really love the idea of the best tackle in the draft or one of the best edge rushers in the draft falling here to the Chiefs, but that's what's on our board, and we're going to get that new QB down in New Orleans some help here.
The one team I don't have a whole lot for is the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're kind of rumorless almost from what I was trying to find. A lot of indicators are pointing towards corner, but they're really looking for best player available for tackle, wide receiver, edge rusher, defensive tackle, and again, the aforementioned corner as well. And you have basically arguably the best in almost every single one of those categories outside the wide receiver position, or the first and second are already gone. We're not going to overthink it too much, because there's a guy out there that you have to protect no matter what. And I think you may be saying, how do you have Francis Mauigoa falling outside of the top 5, 6, 7, 8? There are some concerns that he may not be a tackle, and you are drafting a right tackle inside the top 10. I mean, the last time I can remember that happening is all-pro tackle out of, playing for the Detroit Lions right now. That's the last time I could really remember it happening, and that's arguably the best tackle in the league, left or right. So Francis Mauigoa, potentially just the right tackle, potentially a guard going in at the 9 spot. So a little bit of flexibility there, but the Chiefs need to protect Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's a lot of tackles in the draft this year that are probably guards down the line. Lots of them. So to take a guy in the top 10, it's one of those things where I'm not 100% certain about Francis and his long term, but like you mentioned, Mr. Panay, when the talent is there, you got to invest in it. Yeah. That's enough on the Chiefs. Nobody likes the Chiefs. The Bengals, I just feel like the Bengals have been Caleb Downs, and Caleb Downs has been gone for a long time here. So I'm a little bit at a loss for words on what I would do with the Bengals here. I think that ultimately, how much time do I have left for this pick, Jacob?
About a minute.
Okay. Is there any chance the Chiefs go Kenyon Sadiq right there? Do you think? Is there any shot? Travis Kelce's in his twilight years. Is that too high for him?
If both wide receivers are gone, I think the chance that the tight end goes right there. That's the next weapon, though.
Okay. Well, you know what? I feel like the Bengals, they know they have their quarterback. They know they have the wide receivers. Trey Hendrickson, last time I checked, no longer a Bengal. David Bailey, last time I checked, sitting here about to fall out of the top 10. As much as I would like to ruin our mock drafts completely, go safety here and put Dylan Thieneman on the Bengals, I just don't think there's any way you can draft a safety with David Bailey still sitting on the draft board. So that's where they're going to go. And what an interesting top 10 we have here.
Yeah. Oh, man. I was curious to see how this was going to fall, but man, this is better than I expected, to be honest. So I like that it's so different from our very first one. I am probably still fully committed to drafting offensive linemen here, to be completely honest with you. The Dolphins need so much help, and they've done so much fire sale and just kind of just letting stuff go. I think that they are going to prioritize the offensive linemen in day one, and then they are going to get their pass catchers and their corners and more developmental guys in days 2 and 3, because they have the time to develop those guys. They're not anywhere close to a window. They are just exited a couple years out of their window to be very competitive. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and slot in Spencer Fano. I could go Ioane, the guard out of Penn State, but with Fano, this is a guy that you can potentially slot in all 5 positions. They even had him doing center drills at the combine. So this is a guy who could potentially play in all 5 slots. That's what the Dolphins need right now, is someone who can play in all 5.
Could you imagine in this hypothetical world where we talked about the Cowboys trading up to 3 for Jeremiah Love, and then the Dolphins do what a lot of people expect them to do, and they maybe go wide receiver right there, taking Jordan Tyson? Could you imagine the Cardinals sitting here at 13 with Spencer Fano falling to them after they were thinking they would take a offensive tackle at 3, be able to drop 10 picks back, reload the war chest, and still get the tackle? That would be a hell of a draft for the Cardinals. But generally, the Cardinals don't make smart decisions like that, so probably not going to happen. And, just like a lot of mock drafts, these things may never see the light of day after we record them and people look at them once or twice because things are so rapidly changing in the draft. But I feel like this is pretty boring. I was honestly hoping to have it break a different way, but we got rumors out there that the Cowboys want to trade up for Caleb Downs. They need a safety. I feel like this is maybe the 3rd mock draft in a row we've done this. Dylan Thieneman, you are a Dallas Cowboy.
No Mansour Delane there?
You know what, bro? The thing about it is I just don't expect you guys to make the reasonable decision. So,
I'm going to argue with you there.
That's the thing. Is like, I'm not going to be the one. Honestly, the Cowboys doing something crazy like taking CJ Allen right there wouldn't surprise me, just because it always seems to be something. I feel like you and me, how many times have you just been absolutely disappointed with the Dallas Cowboys selections in the first round? And you've been wrong once or twice, but, Mozzie Smith? Is that? Oh, man, I haven't thought about
Mozzie. Yeah.
Taco Charlton? I haven't thought about these guys in a long time. But generally speaking, I think you would agree that Dylan Thieneman, it makes sense positional value-wise. It makes sense value-wise, So here we are.
I think if this is how the board falls, I think that this is a prime trade back for the Rams for a couple of spots, because they don't need Mansour Delane, and there's some people a little bit further back in this general area that could trade up for a corner like that. But because we do not have any trades here, I'm going to go exactly where I think they're going to go, with all of the strangeness that's going on with a couple of their wide receiver who's in potential rehab this offseason with Puka Nacua, and then obviously aging Devontae Adams. They're going to go ahead and reload on that position, and they're going to draft Jordan Tyson. Like I said, they do not need corner at all. They just traded for one corner, just signed another one, both from the Chiefs. So they don't need a corner right now. So that's not a logical decision. So we're going to go ahead and give them a wide receiver for the future, right now and the future. Hopefully he just stays healthy is the hope.
Man, I just got boring picks back to back, didn't I? I wanted to find a way to get a wide receiver to the Ravens here, but I just think it's just way, way too rich to go Omar Cooper here. Obviously, everybody has the Ravens taking Ione? What's the name?
Ione.
Help me out here.
Ione, yeah.
And the justification is, they lost Tyler Linderbaum. They lost Tyler. This dude doesn't play center. So it's not a replacement here, but as you know, they also need guard help. So we're going to slot him in there. Never in a million years would I mock a guard to my team. Top 14. don't think that that's the way that I would go, but I'm just doing what I think's going to happen, not what I would do. So this is where we're at with the Ravens. And looking at the board, do you see anywhere else they can go here with this pick if they stay at 14?
Sadiq is the only other way I could see them really moving. That's really it, honestly. So Kenyon Sadiq is the only other way I see the Ravens moving on that pick. You good?
Great. I'm incredible.
All right, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, I have two areas of possibilities. Defensive end and tight end are the two ways I think it's very possible for them to go. Obviously, Mansour Delane is still sitting here, but I don't think it's number one need. I am going to go Kenyon Sadiq because it is one of the biggest rumors right now that is kind of where he's slotted in. That teen range of 14 to 15 is big whispers, and if he doesn't go there, I think there is a little bit of a slide to the 20 ranges. But I think there's a good chance if one of those teams are going to take him, it's definitely going to be there at 14 or 15.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've heard the same. It feels like they're going to be all over this. It just seems like a Baker Mayfield guy. At 16 with the Jets, we know there's no QB sitting here. The wide receivers, there's a ton of smoke for Omar Cooper Jr. for the Jets here at 16. I think if any of the other guys, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, for some reason fell, it would make a lot of sense. Edge rusher, I'm getting to the point for myself, for my team, Akeem Messidor is undraftable. The dude's going to be 30 by the time his rookie contract's up. But obviously, I plan to root for the 49ers for the rest of my life. So I'm concerned about things like how old a draft pick's going to be after his rookie class is up. And some of these coaches might just be drafting for the here and now, which I totally get. So maybe Akeem does have a little more value to those guys. But the Jets are in a prime position to look at the draft board and say, is there something we need here? And they have a clear need at corner. And the best corner in the draft has fallen 8 spots below expectations. And with them trading Sauce last year, they have a clear need. We're going to stop the slide. I think the Jets would just be absolutely ecstatic to find Mansour Delane sitting here at 16 for them.
100%. They would be jumping up and down ecstatically for the best man corner in this draft to slide that far down. The only other place you really could have gone right there was we could have slotted him at 10 or 11 or 12, but we all went different directions. Kind of with Bailey still sitting there, you kind of have to take him. You have a huge need in the trenches and probably where the Dolphins are going to go at 11, and then going with a huge safety need. And then no one else here really is a huge need for corner. So the slide would be there, but probably no realistic slide because someone's probably going to trade up. But again, no trades here. Biggest whispers from the Lions are from two players that we haven't mocked here yet, and one is getting way more than the other. I don't personally like it, but it doesn't really matter what I personally like right here. And it is going to be a tackle. And it is going to be Caden Proctor, is one of the biggest names I'm hearing, where I hear Caden Proctor will not get past the Lions, and I've seen it from 3 different sources that they love that guy. Now, again, I'm not the biggest fan of him. Apparently, they're talking about moving him to right, Sewell moving to the left, and that's how they're going to go and play their offensive line situation. But Proctor going 17, a little bit rich for my blood, but that's apparently where the Lions like him. The other name that, just throwing it out there, the other name apparently they like is Keldrick Falk, which I know that's Drew's favorite player. So,
hey, listen, I've heard a ton of whispers that Caden Proctor is not getting past the Steelers. So a ton more information on this guy coming out in the last couple of days than you and I think expected based off of our feelings on him. But you know what? Shout out Plankton, JC Latham. Sometimes teams miss on things, right?
Yep, 100%.
Minnesota Vikings, here's the thing, is we keep sending the same dude to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't want to do that this time around. Maybe it's just because I'm determined to make this guy a Charger, so I'm going to pass on the opportunity to draft Emmanuel McNeil-Warren here for the Vikings. I feel like that's what everybody expects to happen. I've seen a ton of drafts with Dylan Thieneman going here. I just don't think he's going to fall that far. So we're going to go ahead and stop the slide of a player that has just really not made it this high, I think, in any conversations you and I have had. Jermod McCoy, 18th to the Vikings here. All the talent in the world. He does have his question marks, but, you know, sometimes teams and staffs and scouting departments fall in love with a player, and when he's there, and you got to take him. So that would be my. I still think if I was putting money on it, I'm saying if Emmanuel McNeil Warren's sitting there, they're going there. But just to do something a little different here, this is where I'm at.
I'll be honest with you that I was fully expecting, if we had this flipped again, where I had the evens and I had the Cowboys picks, I'd be slotting Jermod McCoy at 12. If if Delane already went, I think McCoy's conversation starts at 12 right there. From the more and more I'm looking at it, I feel like McCoy is going to go so much higher than what we expect. I mean, we've seen the corner injury slide previously, but from the whispers, it's not going to happen this year. And they view this guy as potentially the number one corner without these injuries that happen to him. So I have the Panthers on the clock. I think getting Bryce Young's another pass catcher is going to be essential. If Kenny Sadiq was sitting here, that'd be really great. And I think it'd be a perfect slot in. They tried to slot that in a couple of years ago. They drafted a tight end in the second round. Name is escaping me for whatever reason, but I am going to go ahead and go with wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. You have your big play or your big bodied wide receiver in Ted McMillan. Now you can go ahead and get a guy out of the slot in Omar Cooper Jr. I think it's a perfect fit. Again, if Kenyon was sitting here, he'd be gone. So, but getting an additional weapon for Bryce Young is great here for him.
Hey, so I already know where I'm going with this pick, but if you're looking at the way that the draft board has shaken out and you're picking for your team, who are you taking right here?
I'm probably going CJ Allen. I am going Keldrick Folk. I'm going edge or linebacker here. Probably is probably the move at this point.
Hey, I agree. Not on the player, on the position, and A, because I get to just make you angry, and B, because I've legitimately seen this player mocked here multiple times, and I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not going Zion Young by any means, but you can have the old ass dude at 20. Hopefully he makes it to a second contract before he has to retire. But Akeem Messidor, you are a Dallas Cowboy.
Yay. Wow. That's very exciting. Great.
You're welcome.
Yeah, damn it. That's all right. I really wanted to go wide receiver here for the Steelers because apparently that's also been kind of heavily whispered, but I'm not going to go that direction. I am going to go tackle. I'm a little hesitant on Freeling just because they've gone this same exact direction before, not that long ago. So I could see the front office being very hesitant to go with Freeling, and maybe they want to go with a Blake Miller instead. Let me just pull up the tackles just so I'm not scrolling all the way down. Blake Miller instead. I'm going to attempt to say this name today. I swear to God, if I can fit him in the first round, I'm going to attempt to say the name. I'm not going to do it right now, but I will attempt to. But I'm going to go with Freeling, even though with the potential of being a little hesitant because you've just done it in the past. Raw prospect out of Georgia at the tackle position is very recently on the mind. But we're going to go ahead and do it again. See if we can swing for the fences a second time. Monroe Freeling to the Steelers.
Yeah, man. I think we've gone tackle every time with the Steelers here.
Yeah. Like I said, I would have loved to go Steve there if there was one available I wanted to take.
My team away from my team, the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they would love for an edge rusher to fall here. I don't think they want to reach for Keldrick Folk. Wide receiver could make sense potentially, but with Denzel, Boston, and KC being the high level ones left, I am going to talk this into existence. Emmanuel McNeil Warren to the Los Angeles Chargers.
I would honestly, I can see the pick so prevalently. I mean, to me, that he's so weird to mock because there's not a lot of whispers around him, but I can see him. Obviously, we can see him as early as 18. we can see him, but I can see him falling kind of late in this draft as well, because there's not a whole lot of rumor mill kind of surrounding the guy continuously. So I'm kind of curious to see where it all ends up shaking out. But with the Eagles here on the clock, we have played this in a bunch of different directions. I am going to go wide receiver here at this spot, whether AJ Brown is on the team or not. Howie is known for making the picks in advance. So if he's on the team, cool, we're making it for advance. And if he's not on the team, then we're making the pick for right now. And regardless, we've seen Howie trade for a couple of high-level former first-round pick guys semi-recently. Jahan Dotson is the one who really kind of comes to mind. So I'm going to go ahead and go with a similar type player when it comes to AJ Brown. It's a deep bomb threat. Denzel Boston, big-bodied wide receiver. This guy's release in terms of short and medium routes isn't the best. But man, you get him going on one of those deep routes, his second release and his second level is so good. I'm like, damn, how is he getting that second burst once he's hitting the 10 to 15 yard range pass, and now he's wide open. So his inline speed is great too. So Boston there, 23-3, I think fits.
Yeah. So the Browns, they got the wide receiver earlier in the draft. We know they have the quarterback decision to make. The only other decision they have to make here is to protect their quarterback. It's a tackle here. It's going to be Blake Miller. I think the Browns would be ecstatic to come away with a starting tackle and a starting wide receiver in the first round in this draft to protect whatever quarterback decision they're going to make during training camp and OTAs. And I think they would have liked, maybe someone else to fall here between Blake Miller and Max. I will not say his last name for Arizona State. But yeah, they are going to go tackle here. And another year of the Browns being the Browns.
100%. Whispers are the Bears are going towards the defensive end spot, just in general, the interior defensive line or the defensive end spot. I am going to go ahead and go towards an edge rusher on this one. We have Falk still sitting here. We have Cassius Howell still sitting here. TJ Parker still sitting here. I'm going to push him even further up in the draft because apparently a name very well liked in the building of Chicago is a Mr. Zion Young, where we keep seeing him a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. So let's push him up to the 25 spot. Let's get him in there. Again, I think the Bears are going to go ahead and they're going to go with an edge spot. But Zion Young apparently is a very well-liked name. Now, is this a trade back and he gets selected anyways, or are they staying down pat and passing on some of the other guys and going with Young?
You know what? One of the downsides to paying your quarterback a ton of money is you can't pay premium players at other positions. It feels like in recent years, the Bills have just hemorrhaged defensive talent year after year because they haven't been able to re-sign these guys due to cap space. To find a linebacker in CJ Allen sitting here available for you at 26, it gives you a defensive playmaker. It gives you just he's not the athletic freak, but he's just a super high IQ player. He makes all the right decisions. Big school like Georgia, I just think it makes a lot of sense for them to go linebacker here. And if it will let me click the button, then I will click the button. There we go. CJ Allen, and you are a Buffalo Bill.
I am with you 100,000%. Did a little mini mock by myself last night just to kind of see how some of this would play out on the rumor mill. And this is where I had CJ Allen also slotted in. Some people may see it as a slide, but I see it as a good fit as well. So I'm with you on that 100%. With the 49ers, you and I were talking about it in our little pre-draft process. Offensive tackle is not a priority for round one for the 49ers. I have one name slotted in here as a potential name to watch, and it is at the wide receiver position. And it is Casey. Casey 100%. is the name that is coming out of the camp. I love the fit. I got really deep into his film a couple of days ago, and twitchy. I like where he can fit, where it's in the slot or it's outside. I honestly really like the player. I have him slotted kind of high. I have like the number one guy, I have the number two guy, and then I have him, and then I have a couple guys who all do a little bit of different things, which I feel like always ends up happening for wide receivers. So what type of wide receiver do you want? So, but I do have him a little bit ahead of some of these other guys we drafted in front of him. I really like him.
Yeah, the 49ers for years and years and years have been known as like the yak guys, the yards after catch, Kyle Shanahan, yards after catch. And what's plagued them the last year or so is their number one wide receiver has been Jawan Jennings, who still remains unsigned because he wants $20 million a year. Not a burner by any means. So to add blazing fast speed back to the offense, I just think it's an absolute no-brainer for them. I love the pick. I love the idea. I was sitting next to you on my couch a couple years ago when they took Ricky Pearsall, and I was kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
But I would love KC here. The Texans, I actually love having this pick because I just feel like there are so many just different ways they could go here. Obviously, they have a defensive-minded head coach, but they also need some help on the offensive side. I think they would love to have had CJ Allen fall here. I feel like you could see them reach for the guard out of Oregon, Pregnon, but we are going to finally stop the slide, taking this type of player for the first time in our draft, Cade McDonald from Ohio State. That makes 5 or 6 Ohio State players in the first round. You are a Houston Texan. You are a D'Amico Ryans guy, and I think it would be a no-brainer to be able to get this quality of player at 28.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that if we do see an interior defensive lineman taken, I think it is going to be Caden McDonald. Whatever my opinions on Peter Woods are or are not, I do think that Caden McDonald is one hell of a player. I have him in like my top 20 guys. If you just show a little bit of some pass rush upside, then he's an all 3 downs player. If not, then you're limited to those first 2. Regardless, very talented. And Casey back on the clock. We already got the best tackle in the draft potentially, and now we're back to just best player available, whether that's edge rusher, whether that's wide receiver, whether that's corner. And right now there's 2 different guys that we can kind of be taking a look at, Falk and Terrell, but I'm going to still slide Falk into the first round. I do like Falk. I like him a little bit more than Drew does. I think he has a little bit more utility than some of the other edge rushers in front of him. Messidor, I can't believe I hate him so much. But besides the point, I'm going to go with best player available, and that is going to be Falk for the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's your pick, but I'll have to make it for you.
You know, at the very least, Messidor plays all 3 downs. You know, like you don't have to take him off the field. So
It's fair.
All right, got the Miami Dolphins here, and we took a tackle for them earlier, unfortunately. And as much as they need a wide receiver because their new quarterback has no one to throw to, this is not the position nor the team to reach when obvious talent is sitting right there. So we are going to stay away from wide receiver. As you can see, Mr. Terrell is sitting right there. They need defensive back help. This is obvious. Like, this guy's probably a top 20 pick. Don't know how we managed to let him fall so far. Slot him in right there, and it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's going to be a guy where he's probably going to flash super hard once his rookie contract is close to being up on the Dolphins, and then he's going to go sign a huge contract somewhere else. It feels like where his career can finally flourish. It's just going to be my opinion. Or maybe the Dolphins will finally be competitive once he's at the end of his rookie contract, and then they can't pay him because they're going to have to try to pay someone else is the feeling I get with that type of guy. But I'm also a huge Terrell guy.
You know who I saw mocked to the Dolphins right here at corner earlier today?
Chris Johnson.
Oh, Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
I like Chris Johnson, man. Yeah, I watched him because of the whispers, and hey, he's pretty damn good, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if he snuck in. I think Colt Hood could potentially sneak in. I think Chris Johnson could potentially sneak in. There's a couple of guys, and then, you know, obviously you have a slide of a player. We're going to have something here where how do you let G.J. Parker fall? How do you catch his how fall? It's like someone has to fall if we're picking these guys. Someone stays out in the first round regardless. That's what you have to understand. We do these mocks all the time. Someone falls every single time. You go, how did I let that happen? You go, oh, yeah, because I have to pick someone else. Duh. I have the Patriots here. Offensive and defensive line is going to be huge for them, especially with a little bit of their blunders. I do think Lomu does get into the first round. Ihenachor. It's Chore for sure. Is that I know how you say it, but I think it's one of those 2 guys. But I think you already have someone playing the left hand side. I think Ihenachor, he ends up playing the right hand side a little bit better. So I'm going to slot him there at the tackle spot for the New England Patriots, unless you want to move Lomo into the left-hand side and you want to move the guy who gave up how many sacks, how many pressures in the Super Bowl, you want to move him over to the right-hand side. I think that's a real possibility as well. But I do think a defensive or an offensive lineman is possible there.
Yeah, so the Super Bowl champions here have 4 draft picks in the upcoming draft, and they lost a ton of talent in the offseason, as generally happens with Super Bowl champions or teams that make deep playoff runs. They lose their pieces. I think it makes all the sense in the world that they're going to trade back here and try to add a couple more picks to their draft closet. If they were forced to take a pick, I love the pick that I made at the end of my mock draft. We're not going to go here just because I don't want to double down on 2 running backs in the first round. But when you look at the board and who's left, I think that TJ Parker makes a ton of sense here for the Seahawks. I really do. But with the fact that they lost Tariq Woolen in the offseason and Colton Hood is sitting here, I just think it's a no-brainer to select Colton Hood there. Maybe I should have finished what I was saying before I clicked the button. That way it would
You're good.
generate it. But, that's where we're at. So,
yep. And again, Colton Hood, Chris Johnson, one of these corners is probably going to sneak a little bit further up into this first round, which means someone falls out of it and someone's going to be upset about XYZ person falling out of the round. So honestly, that was a lot of fun, because that was so different than what we've done before. Mendoza first, obviously, Bain at second, Reese at third, Styles at fourth, Caleb Downs at fifth, Carnell Tate at sixth, Jeremiah Love at seventh, Makai Lemon, surprise pick at number 8. We have Francis Malinoa at 9, David Bailey at 10, Spencer Fano at 11, Dylan Thieneman at 12, Jordan Tyson at 13, Vega Ioane at 14, Kenyon Sadiq at 15, Mansour Delane at 16. We have Caden Proctor at 17, Jermon McCoy at 18, Omar Cooper Jr. at 19, Akeem Messidor at 20, Monroe Freeling at 21, Emmanuel McNeil Warren at 22, Denzel Boston at 23, Blake Miller at 24, Zion Young at 25, CJ Allen at 26, Casey Concepcion at 27, Caden McDonald at 28, Keldrick Falk at 29, Avion Terrell at 30, Max Ihana Chor at 31, and Colton Hood at 32. Honestly, that was so different from what we've done that it was a lot of fun. I wish it would show. I'm going to download the image for later on because I like to keep these just in case. Draft results, I know it gave us a grade because we did it together. Who was the worst pick? They said that the Casey Concepcion pick was the worst pick, apparently, which obviously disagree with. They also said that the Zion Young pick was not a good pick either. They also thought the Caden Proctor pick wasn't a very good pick either. And it is this is not a great feeling. But
you just rounded out the bottom 5 there, bro. Like, that's just
so, again, we're trying to take what we hear from around the league and the rumors and what other guys are hearing and what we're seeing in mock drafts and stick them in here and seeing how they kind of fit. Man, they really liked the tackle pick at
Isn't that interesting? Like, you could throw the Raiders pick out. Oh, they got an A+. That dude might be a bust. Like, it happens every year. Like, quarterbacks bust out. But interesting that the best pick outside of the quarterback, because obviously no shit, is at 21 where you take Monroe Freeling there. So very, very interesting.
Yep. And, you have a couple words like Freeling technically falls according to PFF, and the Jets end up getting an A+ as well, with them getting Bain and him rated so high. I feel like that's pretty obvious as well. And obviously Delane, who technically falls as well, they're going to get a high pick. But CJ Allen technically falls to them as well. The Bengals, who did we go with the Bengals again? Yeah, David Bailey. So technically he falls. Outside of a falling pick to PFF, the highest graded guy, Francis Malinoa would be a technical fall. The Patriots got an A for the tackle that I drafted out of Arizona State. So interesting kind of how to see, how PFF kind of sees everything. But, as we've talked about before, they're not the end all be all, but that was fun. For the future reference, again, we have So we have 4.0 coming up from the draft. That'll be my personal mock that I'll be doing solo. I'm coming in this week. Drew and I will be doing a mock draft with trades coming up. Let me check the calendar to make sure that all lines up perfectly fine. Mock draft with trades. That's going to be on the 19th. Do we want to do that, make that our 2-round mock draft? Or do we want to do a full 2-round mock draft on our final mock draft? We could do either or.
I don't know. I mean, I think we both know there's going to be trades happening in this draft. So if we're going to try to put a 2-round mock out, that's going to be as close as where we expect it. I think there's going to be a ton of discussion going into where the trades are going to happen and what the compensation is going to look like. So I think that would be fun to put out as our polished piece there.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, we'll have 2-round mock draft out there. There'll be along with trades. And then we're also going to put out our positional rankings. Now with some of them, are we going to get to top 5 quarterbacks in a draft like this? Yeah, I don't know about that. But we'll get to at least like wide receiver positional rankings and tackles and corners, edge rushers. There's a lot of discussion around those skill position players. So outside of that, Drew, do you have anything to add before we kind of let everyone go?
Oh, we're getting closer and closer. I know with the work schedules, it's going to be really tough on a recap of the first or second rounds, but I really hope we can figure something out to get that done to see, just to see how close, if there was any huge surprises. Obviously, it's the draft. It's one of the most exciting times of the year for everybody because hope breeds eternal. Everybody's team's ready to go to the Super Bowl. You know it, bro. It's our year, right? Cowboys fans. So I'm getting excited. We're getting close.
Yeah, I feel like that Saturday after, I know you work, but I don't work afterwards. So we could potentially be planning on maybe later on in the night going through those 3 rounds at the very least. The rounds probably 6 and 7 are probably going to be happening while we do it. So at the end of the day, we can at least do a first couple of round of recap and then get that episode out pretty quickly. And then for the rest of off season, we'll have full off season grades, not just draft grades and free agency grades, but a full off season grades. And then we can start looking forward to the rest of the year on how that one shakes out. So I'll have a bunch of random little content here and there. So, but besides that, we appreciate you guys sticking around and hit subscribe and through the entire draft process. It feels good to be back after a little bit of a break last year from the draft. So it's exciting. But besides, appreciate you guys.